Ladies and gentlemen, this is Intervlog. I said this is Intervlog, the voice of the people, the pride of the continent, and the pulse of the revolution for dignity and development. Today, we lift our voices and raise our hands in celebration of a leader whose name echoes across the valleys and mountains of Burkina Faso and beyond, President Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Let the drums of African pride beat. Let the children of Africa know that a new dawn has risen from the heart of Ouagadougou. A dawn where a leader chooses classrooms over cathedrals of politics, where he raises schools instead of structures that divide, where he builds futures instead of fantasies. Intervlog is here to praise, to honor, and to salute a decision that will echo for generations. Yes, it is no rumor, it is fact. While the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia offered to build 200 mosques in Burkina Faso, our bold and visionary president, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, stood firm. He looked beyond symbolism and chose substance. He said, "We already have enough mosques. What we need now are schools, jobs, science, books, and opportunities." He didn't reject faith. He embraced the future. He didn't turn his back on religion. He opened his arms to reason, responsibility, and reform. Captain Traoré chose schools over mosques, and Intervlog says bravo, bravo 1,000 times. 2 weeks after this historic decision, what did we see? The inauguration of the KoJUS Foundation's educational complex, the Kosyam University of Science, a world-class academic center in Nagrin, Ouagadougou, a center that will raise mathematicians, train physicists, produce biologists, and inspire Africa's next generation of innovators. Prime Minister Rimtalba Emmanuel Ouédraogo himself stood at that inauguration and said, "Burkina Faso's sovereignty must be built on scientific knowledge." Intervlog claps for that vision. For too long, African sovereignty has been mistaken for speeches. Traoré and his team are showing us that true sovereignty is built with chalk and lab coats, not just slogans and ceremonies. The KoJUS educational complex is not just a school, it is a revolution in concrete form. It is proof that in the Africa Captain Traoré envisions, we don't build monuments to external powers. We build machines, algorithms, and knowledge hubs. The inclusion of English, programming, computer science, and cybersecurity at the secondary level is proof that this is not just a university. It is an idea that Africa can compete. An idea that the Burkinabe child will not be left behind in the global race of innovation. To all African leaders, Intervlog says, look at Traoré. Copy his courage. Copy his clarity. This is the path forward. Stop borrowing ideologies and start investing in ideas. Stop building for the past. Build for the future. Stop depending on aid and start depending on your youth. And speaking of youth, Intervlog must shout out the CPES Association. Under the inspiration of this educational revolution, they have launched a powerful campaign. 2 million notebooks for disadvantaged students in Burkina Faso for the 2025 to 2026 school year. Notebooks, my people. Not prayers without action, not empty promises, not handouts, but tools to write a better tomorrow. These are not just notebooks, they are symbols. They carry the image of our combatants, the FDS and VDP. They carry the legacy of Captain Ibrahim Traoré. They carry the eternal vision of Thomas Sankara. When a child picks up one of these notebooks, they are not just holding paper, they are holding power. Power to read, power to write, power to become a doctor, a coder, a scientist, an inventor, power to liberate. Burkina Faso under Traoré has proven that transformation does not come from foreign palaces, but from local planning. He has shown us that it is better to have one school that teaches thousands than 100 buildings that teach nothing. Traoré reminds us is that religion without knowledge leads to manipulation. Faith without education leads to fanaticism. And a country that kneels in every corner but cannot build a robot is a country that will forever beg. Captain Ibrahim Traoré said, "Enough. Enough of aid without dignity. Enough of dependence disguised as development. Enough of charity without capacity." With KoJUS, with the CPES notebook campaign, with the rejection of 200 foreign-built mosques, Traoré is redefining leadership in Africa. Intervlog says, "Let every leader from Cape Town to Cairo, from Lagos to Lusaka, from Dakar to Dar es Salaam, take note. This is what leadership looks like. It is not about how many palaces you build. It is about how many minds you equip. It is not about how loud you shout at independence parades. It is about how many children can read the Constitution. It is not about your foreign trips. It is about your domestic courage. Captain Ibrahim Traoré has that courage. He stood up to power. He chose his people. And today, Intervlog shouts his name with pride. Traoré, champion of education, builder of brains, defender of dignity, master of the moment, leader of the new Africa. Stay tuned, dear viewers, because this is just the beginning. Intervlog will continue to document this revolution of reason, this renaissance of responsibility, this rebirth of Africa through the power of knowledge. To every young Burkinabe watching this, your president believes in you. He is building schools, giving you books, empowering your teachers, and creating laboratories for you to experiment, explore, and excel. To every parent, Traoré is investing in your child's future. To every leader across Africa, it is time to stop the excuses and start the transformation. Let us build more KoJUS complexes. Let us write more notebooks. Let us make Africa a continent of innovation, not imitation. Once again, Intervlog salutes the choice of Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Schools over mosques, education over symbolism, dignity over dependency. Intervlog signs off today with one final message. When a leader builds a mosque, he feeds the spirit. But when a leader builds a school, he feeds the nation. Captain Traoré chose the nation. Africa, wake up. The blueprint is in Burkina Faso. Ouagadougou. Official inauguration of the KoJUS Educational Complex by the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Rimtalba Emmanuel Ouédraogo officially inaugurated the KoJUS Foundation's educational complex, the Kosyam University of Science, located in Nagrin, a district of Ouagadougou, this Friday, April 4th, 2025. This complex is a response to the Burkinabe Authority's vision of promoting science-based programs at the secondary level. In addition to secondary education, this educational complex will also serve higher education. It will also be able to train laboratory technicians and teachers of mathematics, physics, chemistry, and life and earth sciences. Patron of this ceremony, Minister Prosper Contibo, Metropolitan Archbishop of Ouagadougou, recalled the words of Pope John XXIII, who said that true education necessary for the development of peoples must be integral. That is to say, it must form man on all levels, intellectually, morally, spiritually, physically, humanly, and so on. From this point of view, I am delighted to see here at KoJUS the importance of human and integral education, he said. He expressed the wish that KoJUS would be a melting pot, where young Burkinabe from all social classes, religions, and languages could come to enrich each other to forge a bright future for themselves and for the nation. Hamoud Abdel Wadoud Kamail, resident representative of the World Bank in Burkina Faso, said that this educational complex alone is a testament to the dynamic partnership between the World Bank and Burkina Faso, a partnership that places a premium on the development of human capital. It demonstrates the vital importance the government places on education in general and on promoting scientific fields in particular, he said. He emphasized that the construction and equipment of this educational complex meets the standards of new prototypes of school buildings in Burkina Faso. He also took the opportunity to reaffirm the World Bank's commitment to supporting the Burkinabe government in its human capital development policy, which includes improving equitable and quality access to education, particularly for post-primary and secondary education. Qualified human capital is, for the transitional government, a major challenge for sustainable development with a view to transforming the economy, according to Prime Minister Rimtalba Emmanuel Ouédraogo. With a view to providing structuring and lasting responses to the concerns of our valiant youth, numerous actions have been initiated for their full development and participation in the national development process, he argued. He mentioned that in a world dominated by the knowledge economy, sovereignty, so dear to the President of Faso and the Burkinabe people, cannot be built without quality scientific training. It is with this in mind that the partnership between the KoJUS Foundation and the government of Burkina Faso was established, he said. Emmanuel Ouédraogo noted that Burkina's sovereignty is also expressed through the freedom it gives itself to diversify its educational, scientific, and academic partners. Will bring substantial improvement to the Burkinabe education system with the contribution of other school, academic, and scientific traditions, he added. The head of the executive also welcomed the emphasis placed on English, computer science, programming, and cybersecurity taught from secondary school onwards, which he said is perfectly consistent with the vision of the head of state, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. The Prime Minister concluded his speech by stating that the new Burkinabe that the entire country dreams of also requires human, moral, and comprehensive training. Earlier, the CPES Association launched a new campaign called Back to School 2025 to 2026. The CPES Association is launching a new campaign to produce and distribute notebooks for disadvantaged students in Burkina Faso. The People's Contribution to Education and Health (CPES) Association officially launched the first edition of its campaign to produce and distribute at least 2 million notebooks for the benefit of underprivileged students in Burkina Faso for the 2025 to 2026 school year this Saturday, April 5, 2025, in Ouagadougou. After a successful pilot phase of its campaign to produce and distribute 1 million notebooks for the benefit of underprivileged students in Burkina Faso for the start of the 2024 to 2025 school year, the People's Contribution to Education and Health (CPES) Association has decided to make its project sustainable for the benefit of underprivileged students in Burkina Faso. In fact, annually, and at the start of each school year, the association should launch a campaign to produce and distribute notebooks to this target group. For the first edition and for the 2025 to 2026 school year, the association plans to produce and distribute at least 2 million notebooks, still in the same spirit as the pilot phase. In short, according to Kamanga Matthias Zida, the association's coordinator, the aim will be to produce the said notebooks in the colors and image of the combatant forces, FDS and VDP, of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, President of Faso, and of the late Captain Thomas Sankara, former President of Faso. All of this in various formats and types, namely double-line notebooks, drawing notebooks, 48 pages, 100 pages, and 200 pages, he specified. In terms of innovation for the first edition, it is planned to add a health component to the education component, in keeping with the association's vision and its name. The aim will be to produce and distribute health records free of charge for vulnerable people, said Jean-Didier Lagame, a member and spokesperson for the association. These notebooks will not be any different from the standard notebooks known and recognized by the Ministry of Health and its partners. Our objective in doing so is to enable this target group of society, despite their current situation, to have at least one health record, which appears to be a sine qua non condition for their healthcare, he explained. This innovation, according to Jean-Didier Lagame, is also intended to be a contribution from the association to the policy of free healthcare for pregnant women and children aged 0 to 5, as well as to the policy of access to healthcare for all. This policy is desired by our highest authorities, he added. As a reminder, during the pilot phase, 455,682 notebooks were produced and delivered. The total cost was 119,168,400 CFA francs. This represents a success rate of 45.57%. On March 21st, 2025, Burkinabe president rejected Saudi offer to build 200 mosques, demanded economic investment. Burkina Faso's transitional president, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, has declined an offer from Saudi Arabia to construct 200 mosques in the country, instead urging the kingdom to invest in key sectors that drive economic growth. President Traoré's decision reflects his broader vision for national development, prioritizing advancements in education, healthcare, and job creation over religious infrastructure. He emphasized that Burkina Faso already has enough mosques, many of which remain underutilized. The Burkinabe leader is focused on strengthening the country's self-reliance by investing in critical sectors that directly impact citizens' lives. His administration has also launched initiatives to address housing shortages, particularly for internally displaced persons affected by security challenges. Additionally, Traoré is prioritizing agriculture, local industries, and sustainable development as key drivers of economic resilience and long-term prosperity. The visionary decision of President Ibrahim Traoré, choosing schools over mosques and its transformational impact on Burkina Faso. In a continent grappling with a legacy of colonialism, socio-economic inequality, and foreign dependency, the actions of visionary leaders stand out as beacons of hope and inspiration. One such leader is President Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso. His decision to reject the construction of 200 mosques proposed by Saudi Arabia in favor of building schools marks a defining moment not just for his country, but for the entire African continent. This article explores the numerous advantages of this decision, analyzing its short-term implications and long-term transformational potential for Burkina Faso and beyond. By choosing schools over mosques, President Traoré made a clear statement that while spiritual development is important, the cornerstone of national progress lies in education. This decision prioritizes tangible, practical benefits over symbolic gestures. Mosques serve religious functions, but schools equip citizens with the tools to think critically, innovate, and transform their societies. In choosing to invest in education infrastructure, Traoré emphasized development, enlightenment, and empowerment. Burkina Faso has historically faced high rates of illiteracy, especially in rural areas and among women. With limited access to quality education, many young Burkinabe are unable to compete in regional and global economies. By redirecting resources towards building and improving schools, Traoré is directly confronting these systemic challenges. The decision to build educational institutions will provide access to learning for thousands of children, enabling them to break free from the cycle of poverty and ignorance. Africa's greatest asset is its youth. Yet without proper education and vocational training, this potential remains untapped. Schools provide not only academic instruction, but also technical skills, life training, and critical thinking development. By investing in education, Traoré is creating a more competent, skilled, and employable workforce. This will reduce youth unemployment, which is a major driver of social unrest and extremism. By turning down Saudi Arabia's offer, President Traoré sent a powerful message about national sovereignty. Accepting the 200 mosques would have deepened foreign influence in the country. Instead, his decision demonstrates that Burkina Faso is capable of charting its own course. This act of defiance against foreign dependency aligns with Traoré's broader policy of self-reliance and African sovereignty. It tells the world that Burkina Faso's development path will be determined by its people and leadership, not external actors. Religious structures, while important, can sometimes lead to division if they are not inclusive. In contrast, schools are unifying institutions. Children of all ethnic and religious backgrounds come together in classrooms, building mutual understanding and social cohesion. Traoré's focus on education promotes unity and collective national identity rather than segmenting communities along religious lines. In today's globalized world, innovation drives progress. Burkina Faso cannot hope to compete or thrive in the 21st century without embracing science and technology. Schools are the breeding grounds for research, innovation, and technological advancement. Traoré's education-first policy will foster a new generation of scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs who can develop homegrown solutions to local challenges. One of the subtle but profound impacts of education is its ability to combat extremism. Radical ideologies often thrive in environments of ignorance and poverty. By prioritizing schools, Traoré is making a preemptive strike against extremism. An educated population is less likely to fall prey to radical narratives and more likely to uphold peace, tolerance, and democratic values. Education is one of the most powerful drivers of economic development. Studies show a strong correlation between education levels and GDP growth. By investing in education today, Burkina Faso is setting the stage for a more prosperous tomorrow. An educated workforce attracts investment, boosts productivity, and fuels entrepreneurship. The long-term economic dividends of Traoré's decision will be significant. President Traoré's bold decision is reminiscent of Thomas Sankara, the revolutionary leader of Burkina Faso who championed self-reliance, education, and anti-imperialism. By choosing schools over mosques, Traoré is walking in Sankara's footsteps, promoting a vision of development grounded in knowledge, dignity, and independence. This decision revives the revolutionary spirit of Burkina Faso and inspires a new generation of Pan-Africanists. Building schools fosters local engagement. Communities participate in school construction, management, and curriculum design. This grassroots involvement builds ownership and sustainability. Unlike foreign-funded religious structures, which often operate independently, schools built under government leadership are more likely to integrate with national goals and community needs. Education is a powerful tool for gender equality. When girls are educated, societies benefit in countless ways: reduced child marriage, improved maternal health, increased household incomes, and better educational outcomes for future generations. Traoré's focus on schools, especially in underserved areas, will uplift millions of young girls and contribute to gender justice in Burkina Faso. An educated citizenry is essential for the health of a democracy. Schools teach civic responsibility, critical thinking, and informed decision-making. By building more schools, Traoré is nurturing the next generation of informed voters, ethical leaders, and responsible citizens who will strengthen Burkina Faso's democratic institutions. The decision to build schools offers an opportunity to address the rural-urban divide. Many remote areas lack basic educational facilities. Targeting these regions for school development will bring much-needed services to marginalized populations, reducing inequality and fostering balanced national development. President Traoré's decision is not just a national milestone, it sets a precedent for the entire continent. His bold stance challenges other African leaders to rethink their priorities. It encourages them to invest in people rather than in prestige projects. Traoré is proving that African nations can chart their own developmental paths rooted in logic, vision, and local empowerment. Educated populations tend to have better health outcomes. Schools are platforms for health education, including hygiene, nutrition, reproductive health, and disease prevention. By investing in education, Traoré is indirectly improving public health, reducing child mortality, and increasing life expectancy across Burkina Faso. President Ibrahim Traoré's decision to reject the construction of 200 mosques in favor of building schools is a transformative act of visionary leadership. It reflects a deep understanding of the challenges facing Burkina Faso and the broader African continent. This move prioritizes human capital development, national sovereignty, social cohesion, gender equality, and long-term economic prosperity. While religious structures serve important spiritual purposes, they cannot substitute for the urgent need for education, innovation, and empowerment. Traoré's bold leadership is a wake-up call for Africa. The time for symbolism is over. The time for strategic, people-centered development has begun. Let future generations of Burkinabe children look back and say, "Our president chose to give us books instead of buildings, knowledge instead of noise, futures instead of fantasies." Captain Ibrahim Traoré has written his name in the history books with wisdom, courage, and clarity. May his decision inspire a renaissance of learning, dignity, and progress across all of Africa. This is the end of our program today. See you on Intervlog same time tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to get new video updates. Thank you for watching Intervlog. Thank you.